Will you please welcome the former Governor and Attorney General of California, the former two-term Mayor of the City of Oakland, and the 39th Governor of the great state of California, the Honorable Jerry Brown.
Everybody eating already? You look a little hungry to me. I don't see this as a time for turf wars and state fighting local or different groups all vying for a diminishing pie. Of course, as I say diminishing pie, I have to recognize that California is not a diminishing economy. It's a 1.9 trillion by some estimates. 1.9 trillion. When I started out as governor, it's about 150 billion. So we're on a trajectory of growth that temporarily has been slowed down. In fact, for a couple of years it actually reversed. But we're growing, and we're growing this year, and we'll grow. So we're a powerful state with the people, the businesses, the environment, the access to the Pacific, all the technology. There's a lot there. But we got a gap. And we got high unemployment, we got people losing their homes, and all the rest of it. So we got to come to terms with what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is this gap. And I've studied it, and I've tried to figure out what the heck can we do about it. And wherever I look, it's not pretty. It's not pretty to say to an elderly person or someone blind or disabled and say, we're going to take away $15 a month from your very small stipend every month. Or to take a mother with 2 kids who's living on $690 a month and say, we're going to have to take $90 from you. We're doing that. Or to tell the university, we've got to take back, we can't give you the $500 million that you were expecting. Or the developmentally disabled. I mean, I look all across it, none of it looks good. But tell me how else to draw the lines. And it's pretty much a zero-sum game right now. Going forward, we'll have growth, we'll have revenue. But in the short term, for the next few years, we got to make tough decisions. And if we don't do redevelopment, then what do we take? Do we take more from the university? Do we start cutting into the public schools, which have been cut year after year? So I think we have to, all of us, rise above our own particular perspective, get out of the comfort zone, and try to think as Californians first. You know, that sense of being a part of and committed to California. As one of our president, John Kennedy, when he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. We've got to find the common ground. And if we can rise out of our narrow perspectives, we will converge around some basic ideas. And that's what I tried to make the budget. And I understand, and I have to say something about the whole redevelopment debate. It says, looks like the state is trying to take your money. Well, in fact, if we go back to the beginning of redevelopment, it was to take a little bit of local property tax and to put it into slum clearance. That was the original idea. It was very controversial. Could you even have condemnation? Could you take private property? If you go back to the early debates in the 40s and the 50s. Well, we have it. And in some counties, in some jurisdictions, it's a huge percentage of the property tax. And how do we make up for it? Well, we make up for it by the state backfilling and giving money to the counties and the schools and the fire districts. But the state's $25 billion in the red. And so here we're taking money, we're taking a property tax, which is local, and we're putting it over into any number, some very good things. When I was mayor of Oakland, I built a lot of good things. I liked redevelopment. Didn't quite understand it. It seemed kind of magical. It was the money that you could spend on stuff that they wouldn't otherwise let you spend. You know, I put a lot into the Fox Theater, got this beautiful theater. You know, tens of millions of dollars. I don't know that I would have got it any other way. So I'm sure glad I got it built before this damn budget came out. So you got to move fast. That's what delay is the enemy. And anyway. We weren't in that much of a trouble, we weren't in that big of a mess. Because we all are subject to hope and desire and wish thinking. And a lot of wish thinking, a lot of magical thinking went on when people said, gee, housing is never going down. It's always going up. And by the way, you don't even need a down payment. You don't even have to tell your true income. And people can get rich on Wall Street, and a lot of people can have homes. Well, that was a lot of delusion. And when that came crashing down, so did the revenues. And those revenues really shrunk from well over 100 billion at the state to maybe 83 billion, only in the space of 12 to 18 months. So we're short of money, and cities are short of money, and schools are laying off teachers. I mean, we're all in a tough situation. So we got to think of as Californians first, not just everybody fighting over everything else. And so my thought on the redevelopment, that's one of the pieces. So our cuts to nursing homes, and cuts to hospitals, and cuts to doctors. It's cuts all over the place. So if you can redraw it in a better way, go ahead. But I think we all have to see, when we move one piece, what happens to the other pieces, and what happens to the state, what happens to California, and where do we go in the future. We know our kids are not doing as well as they should on national exams. We know that Latino and African American kids are way behind other kids. We know the poor districts are not as good as the wealthier districts. So I don't want to take more money from schools. I like to put more money in schools. And so that's just where we are. And where do we get the money? Well, there's the rub. And this proposal that I have is to basically restore what was before. Namely, local property taxes go to local functions, whether it's fire or police or schools or whatever the cities and the counties are doing. And I just want to mention this, just to give you a number. The distribution to counties in the following year would be 289 billion, 289 million rather. Cities would get 495 million. Special districts 105 million. Schools $1 billion. It's a total of 1.9 billion. We wouldn't take any funds from redevelopment that are needed to service existing debts. We're going to leave the funds that are accumulated for the affordable housing but not yet spent. And the pass-throughs that cities have been getting, we would also recognize that too. So I think you ought to take a look at it. I'm not saying you're going to like it, but let's look at it. Let's look at what our alternatives are. Because I put together a package to extend some taxes and to make some massive, very painful cuts. Some groups of legislators have said the problems of California are not our problems. They're the Democrats' problems, or they're the governor's problems. Well, actually, we're all implicated. We're all in it. And however we got here, this is where we are.